Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Good Life for Nebraska Seniors. I'm your host, Donna Blum with Graceful Senior Transitions, and today I am so glad to be joined by Kevin Stocklin with ArcPro Construction. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so glad you could be here.
Oh, it's an honor.
So, if you haven't ever tuned in before, this show is about seniors and senior living topics. We are here to provide helpful resources and trusted information and uplifting conversations about all things related to senior living. And really the purpose is to help you to live a happy, healthy, and productive life during your golden years. So let's get started. Kevin, would you mind sharing with our audience a little bit about your journey, your story? What led you to get into construction?
Well, basically I started with my mom. She was a single mother. We moved here from California in 1975, right after the tornado. So that was interesting. Kind of a new experience going, why is there so much destruction? But it is what it is. So she bought a home and it was a fixer-upper kind of. So she wanted to make things nicer. So she bought a lot of books, and it was about 7 or 8 when I started getting interested in kind of helping her a little bit. And then it would just continue to grow and fix up, and did a lot of painting. And then at some point we redid the upstairs bathroom completely, tile and new vanity and all that kind of stuff. And I think I was about 8 or 9 when I was helping out. So it just kind of grew from there. And it was a great opportunity for us to spend time together, as well as, you know, improve where I lived.
Wow. So you were a youngster when you got started.
Yep, I've been doing it ever since.
And I am just so impressed. Your mom, single mom, taking that on herself. Like, you know?
Yep, she's always been a go-getter.
Yeah.
You know, it's if she wanted something done, and obviously, you know, being a single mother and stuff, it was money was tight.
Right.
So it was, no, you got to do it yourself. So we got a lot of books, and it's well before YouTube, you know, so it would have been great to have that resource back then, but everything was book-based and stuff back then. So we just looked at a lot of pictures and a lot of diagrams and figured it out from there.
That's fantastic. So you learned by doing.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep. I'm
hands-on.
totally a hands-on person my entire life. So.
Yeah. Okay. And so ArcPro is your company?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It's short for architectural protection.
Okay.
So, but that was a little long, so I just kind of shortened it up a little bit.
That's a great name, though. Makes sense. So for homeowners that are thinking about selling or renting their home, how do you determine whether a renovation is actually worth the investment versus just trying to sell the home in the condition that it is in?
It all depends on what they want to get out of the sale or the rent. A lot of it determines on ROI, return on investment. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't have a lot of money to put into the house, so they can do small things to try to make it look better. But it all goes on what they want out of either the sale or the rental of the property itself. So it is kind of a per instance basis type situation. You always wanted, you don't want to do crazy renovations and then not get your money back. Mm-hmm. So you kind of need to just pick and choose what you want at that particular moment and what you want to do. So that one's kind of
it
doesn't
depends.
have a clear answer. We'll get more into some of the other questions on why certain things will happen or won't happen because of the money issue or the sellability of it.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes sense, though. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to know what the goal is. For example, if they have to sell immediately, that kind of changes what options are available to them, right? So, yes.
100%.
Yes.
Because then you don't have time to do the work
Right.
and stuff. So it's, you just kind of put a Band-Aid on it and
Yep.
then do it. If you have time to be able to do some of the work, Like if you know you're going to be moving in 6 months or whatever, then you have time to kind of space things out so it's not a heavy hit right out of the gate.
Right. And also if you have the funds to do
Yes.
some of the work, right?
Funds is a major issue. Money and time.
Yes,
It
money and
always
time.
the two hardest components to get around.
Right. So I guess the short answer is it depends on the scenario. But
Yep.
what are the top improvements that you've seen that help a home sell faster and potentially for a higher price?
The two most important things is paint and new fixtures.
Okay.
So paint goes a long way. You don't realize how faded or dirty the paint is until you get new paint or start washing the walls, and it can be night and day. So even, your common beiges and stuff, if you start washing them or you put a new coat on there, you step back and you go, I didn't realize how dirty or dull it was. Paint makes things pop. And then flooring is important. If you've got dirty carpet, that's, people usually walk in, they see the carpet and then they kind of look around. So the carpet goes a long way too. But paint and flooring and fixtures, if you have outdated fixtures and stuff like that, it doesn't catch eye appeal. And that's what you want first and foremost, is be able to walk into a house and either see potential or see a place that you want to live in. So there's the two different scenarios there.
Right. You're just wanting to really kind of eliminate any of the things that might prevent a prospective buyer from purchasing your home. Paint, carpeting, not super expensive. You don't have to buy the highest end carpeting or flooring, right?
Nope.
To make
Mid-grade.
it really show ready, right? Yeah.
And paint, paint goes, I think paint's the number one. A lot of people, when they first move into their home, they paint it and then they're in there for 15, 20, 30 years and they never paint it again. Well, time, erodes the paint and stuff. So yeah, paint's number one. And then, like I said, fixtures, even like faucets and, light switch covers. You don't realize how dirty those get sometimes until, you go to clean them and then you're like, oh, okay. Just simple little things like that. And then you can get into more aggressive things like new countertops and new vanities and stuff like that. But that's if you have time and money to be able to do that. The cheaper things are, carpet cleaning. If you've got, hardwood floors or whatever, just putting a quick shine on them and stuff. And then another thing to make a home more accessible to either future tenants or future buyers is decluttering.
Yes.
You need to, it's your home, so you're comfortable in your space, but other people walk in and if they can't see 80% of your home because of all the clutter, they can't see their vision for their home. So if you get rid of, if you leave a little bit, couches and stuff like that, then they can get past that and see their own vision for their home.
Yeah, and I just want to say, if a professional comes in and suggests decluttering, it's not a criticism. They're really trying to help you to make your house more appealing to a prospective buyer, and the buyer has to be able to see themselves living in that home. So the more of your personal items that you have in the home, even pictures of your family, you might want to swap some of those out. You want them to see themselves living in the home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. If it's too personal, then they can't see themselves in the home.
Right. So it's not a criticism and it's not anything to be offended by.
No, right.
So are there certain renovations that homeowners think add value, but they really don't move the needle for buyers?
What I've noticed is like full kitchen renovations, because kitchens are expensive. Now, kitchens do sell homes. So that's most of the time when people are looking, it's either the size of the bedrooms or the kitchen that really determines if they want to continue looking at the house. But full kitchen renovations you never get your money back ever, because it just doesn't move the needle. And a lot of times what people think that will help sell the home, you know, if they put in more modern fixtures and modern cabinetry and stuff, well, new home buyers might want the old look, oak look and stuff like that. So you just don't get your money back from full kitchen renovations. Now, you know, painting the cabinets and, you know, cleaning the grease and the dirt and stuff off, and, you know, maybe putting in a new faucet and new handles on your cabinets and stuff, that goes a long way too. But and then another thing that doesn't move it is large additions. You never get your money back on that either. So if you put on, you know, a whole big sunroom in the back, yes, people are going to appreciate it, but it doesn't move the needle because you just never get your money back for it. And a lot of people just, they're looking for value when they're shopping for their home and stuff. So if you overprice it, you're not going to sell it. So,
And things like landscaping can help make it more aesthetically pleasing, but you're probably not going to get your money back out of a major landscaping project or something like that. People are really looking more at the interior. Well, curb appeal is important for
curb
sure.
appeal,
Yes, yes.
slight thing, you know, putting some mulch down, making sure you know, your grass isn't overgrown in certain areas, and obviously no trash and stuff like that in your yard. You know, but yeah, major landscaping, you don't have to go and put a large retaining wall in and stuff like that. Just, you know, make it look nice from the curb, and that goes a long way too. And it's cheap and affordable.
Right.
So,
Right. There's a lot you can do. There's a show, I think, on HGTV, at least it used to be, Design on a Dime.
Yep.
A lot of these things can really be done on a limited budget, right? You
oh
know?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's more expensive ways to do things, but if you're somewhat handy, you can probably do a lot of it yourself, save yourself a lot of money. Now, if you don't have the time because you have to get packing and all that kind of stuff, then that changes the dynamics of everything. But yeah, if you can do even half of it yourself, saves you a lot of time or a lot of money and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Now we're talking to a senior audience. So
Yeah, this is true.
get your family involved. It could be a fun project, right? Okay, everybody, I'm gonna order pizza. You guys all come over. We're gonna paint.
Yep. Yep.
You know, and that may not, a family doesn't live close by, that may not be an option. There are plenty of really good and affordable painters here locally. Get a good referral. Don't go to the website just to, you know, just reach out to somebody like Kevin or myself, and we would be happy to provide you with a referral to an affordable and reliable, trustworthy painter, for example. So,
exactly.
yeah. So for buyers, from a buyer's perspective, why is it so important for a home to be move-in ready, and how does that impact how quickly the house sells?
It goes back to the point of like decluttering and stuff, because when people walk into a space, they either see the space that they're seeing or they see a potential space. So having your house ready to show is probably the most important thing. So making it welcoming, warm, it makes people feel better when they're walking in. If you've got accent walls are great, but they're not for everybody. So if you have this giant orange accent wall right after you walk into the front door, a lot of people are going to look at that and they can't see past that. So they immediately go, this isn't the house for me. So one of the best things to do is paint. You get rid of that giant orange accent wall that was probably perfect for you, but it's not probably going to be perfect for anybody else. You put in some neutral colors and it'll go a long way, because then it makes it more inviting for the people coming in to look for a future sale.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I think it also helps with the listing on the MLS, the pictures. And when everything's neutral, people are much more drawn to that. I'm sure you've probably looked through some pictures on the MLS and you're like, ooh, you know, like it may not be expensive to repaint all those walls or to tear down all that wallpaper, but I don't want to move into the house and take on all these projects right away, right?
Right.
They're looking for something they can move into, start living their lives right away, not a big project.
Right.
Now, there are some folks that may be looking, like if you're handy, such as yourself, you may be looking for a more affordable home, and you're going to do the work yourself. So it just really depends. But a lot of buyers, they do want move-in ready.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories with people walking into multiple houses and they immediately dismiss some because of how it looked or how it was presented. So there's, every single buyer is different. Now, if you literally want to do nothing when you walk into a house, you're limiting the choices of houses that you're going to choose from. Now, if you can see past of certain things, like the bathroom needs to be painted, but the rest of the house is great, most people will be like, okay, yeah, we can paint the bathroom before we move in. But if you have to paint every room or, even half of the house, it will deter people from making an offer at that point. So like I said, just having it more presentable, warm, welcoming always goes a long way.
And a lot of times buyers are willing to pay a little bit more just for that convenience, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So
Exactly.
definitely something to think about. If you have the time and you have a little bit of money, you can do some small things that are very quick and affordable to make the house that much more desirable and more show ready.
Yep.
And get a higher return on investment. So if you would, let's say you put $5,000 in, you might be able to get $15,000 out, right? So that makes it well worth the money.
Oh, yes.
So let's switch gears and talk a little bit about, we've talked a lot about like a senior who's looking to sell their home, right? Perhaps they're downsizing to something smaller, or they're moving out of necessity. But some seniors, they want to stay in their home, right? They want to figure out how they can age in place, and there's lots of options available to them with home health care and those kinds of things now. But they may need to do some things, make some modifications to their house to make it more accessible. What advice do you have that, upgrades that can be made to make aging in place safer and more comfortable?
Okay. There are a long list, so we'll just cover some of the more important ones. Obviously, grab bars in either your bathroom, entryways. You're supposed to have handrails anyway, but a lot of times the stairs aren't that long, so that you don't have a handrail. So handrails, grab bars in the showers, bathtubs, and stuff like that. One that gets overlooked a lot is the higher rise toilets. So a lot of toilets are, there's different sizes and stuff, but the shorter distance you have to go to sit down, and then you put a grab bar on the side, it makes things a lot easier for elderly people, because then they don't have to go as far. Obviously security, get a Ring camera and stuff. That way, if you're sitting in the kitchen and someone rings the doorbell, you can look and see who's there. If it's not important, you don't have to get up, because every time you get up, there's always a risk for a fall.
Right, and it's also more secure.
And it's a lot more secure. There was another one I was going to mention, and now I've blacked up.
Well, what about like if they now are in a wheelchair or using a walker? Should carpeting be pulled up and replaced with a hard surface? Can doorways be widened? I mean, there are some homes that are designed with the wider doorways to accommodate wheelchairs, but some of the older homes may not have that. What kinds of other things might make it possible for them to stay in their home?
Yeah, as far as like widening doors, you have to look structurally. 'Cause
Yes.
you can't do it on certain aspects. I mean, there's always a way to do it, but then
It could cost a lot of
it costs a
money.
lot just to widen a doorway and stuff. And so you're going to have to be careful of that. Another one that I remembered, walk-in showers.
Yes.
So that way they don't have to go in and out of the bathtub to take showers and stuff. Now that is a little pricey, but it is well worth the money if you're worried about that stuff. But yeah, widening stuff, making ramps on the outside and the inside. If you've got, 2 or 3 stairs going from the garage into the main house, you can always put a ramp in there, make things easier. Yeah, there's so much, there's so much you can do to,
Yeah, I mean,
do that.
if their bedroom is upstairs, their primary bedroom, and they can't do stairs any longer, there's chair lifts. There are companies here in town that install those.
Yep. Yep. Or you can just make a bedroom downstairs. That way you don't have to go upstairs anymore. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. My recommendations are the handrails, high-rise toilets, and then the walk-in showers.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great starting place,
Yeah.
right? Right. Well, and I suppose the decision to age in place may be contingent on how much it's going to cost them to make their current home work for their needs, right? If it's
Right.
going to be too costly and it's not something they can afford, then that might be an indication that another option is going to work better for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're kind of starting to get to the point where we're going to wrap up here. I might have a few other little add-on questions for you, but if someone has a limited budget, where should they focus first to get the biggest return, whether their goal is to sell, rent, or stay long-term?
Curb appeal.
Okay.
Landscaping is just little tiny landscaping, just trimming a bush, putting a little bit of mulch down. It goes a long way. And then paint. I'll stress paint every day, because it is overlooked so much, because you get comfortable in your home, and plus, who wants to move all their furniture and
Oh,
stuff?
it's a bit of a hassle, yeah.
Yeah, to paint, So the paint goes a long way, and then just simple little things like, switching out your cabinet hardware, or putting in, a new faucet, even putting in a new light above your vanity, just little things like that will go a long way. And it doesn't have to be expensive. No, I mean, there's expensive light fixtures and stuff, but you can go to Menards or Home Depot and stuff and, pick up a $30 light fixture that's going to really make a big difference. Showers, a lot of water in there, so sometimes they get a little tainted or a little rusty and stuff. So just throw up a new $30 light fixture, changes the whole dynamics of the room.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So let's talk specifically about when you're working with a senior client, you're doing some of these home improvements for them. What does that look like? Do they have to have the place decluttered before you come in? Do they have to move all of their furniture out of the way? Or do you come in, is that kind of part of the project? Like you're not going to require them to clean, if you're doing painting and you're putting in new flooring, do they have to move all that furniture out of the room?
it depends on
It depends.
what their needs are.
Okay.
And now, if they want, obviously the best way to paint is to remove everything from the room. That way you have an open surface, and ceilings need to be painted too. So
Yes.
it's amazing how dirty ceilings get, even though they never get touched.
Yeah.
Dirt just is attracted to there. So, but no, then I will personally move stuff.
Okay, so you kind of bid it out, like if you're
Yeah.
working with a senior and they do not have access to help to move everything around, you can do the full service for them.
No, whatever makes them happy and gets a job done, that's the way that I like to work.
Yeah, make things simple for them.
I try to make things as simple as possible.
Yeah,
So-
that's great. Yeah. And so also when a senior hires you, and let's say they need other work, you may not be a plumber. Perhaps you can do like you might be able to replace a toilet, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if there's something more significant going on, or an electrician's needed, or let's just say some specialist, you have referrals for all of that, right? So you can help them to talk to the right people who they could trust.
Yes, I vet all my references and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's people that I've worked with in the past, and I don't refer people until I know their work and I know
Yes.
they're going to show up and they're going to do a good job. So it's, yeah, if I can't do it, I know someone that can.
Yes. Now, I think a lot of times too, seniors, they want to make sure they're working with somebody who's reputable and can be trusted. Obviously, it's helpful if they're receiving a referral. But when they're looking for somebody, should they be looking for a contractor that's licensed, bonded, insured, all of that? What advice do you have there?
On bigger projects, yes. You know, if you're doing a renovation of a home and stuff, yes, they should be insured and bonded and stuff. That's usually more for commercial and stuff and not residential, but it never hurts.
It never hurts.
Licensed, that's a preference.
Yeah.
But insured, yes.
Okay.
A lot of small projects. If someone's just working in your landscaping and stuff, probably don't need all that. But if they're going to be ripping walls apart, you want to make sure that they're covered just in case something does happen, because it doesn't matter how careful you are, things still happen, especially on older homes, because there's been so much work done on, over the 100 years that they were there. You never know what was done before.
Yeah.
So you start digging into something, which has happened to me, and you go, wow, okay, this is going to take a little bit longer because this happened and stuff like that. So you want to make sure
probably
everything's
happens quite frequently, right? I guess I just wanted to leave our audience with one final thought. It's really about, if you want to get the most out of your home when you're selling, you want it to be show ready and priced right. The worst thing you can do is just put the house on the market and let it sit, because the longer it's on the market, people start to think there's a problem with the home.
Yes.
And eventually you're going to have to really discount it to get it to move. So we don't want that to happen to you. You've worked so hard. It's your greatest investment. So the tips that we're providing here is so that you can get the most out of your asset. So Kevin, I want to thank you so much for your time here today, and I want to thank everybody for watching. Have a wonderful day.